Hello everyone and welcome back to RubberStamps.com. Today we are going to be creating a graduation card using this brand new stamp set from our Bob Ross line called Happy Little Graduation. Before we get started, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you can see more content like this. So as we get started, I just want to go over some of the materials that we need today for this card. Obviously we need the Bob Ross stamp set, and then I went ahead and cut out these shapes with my Cricut and cardstock ahead of time. You can find those files on our website. Then I have this prototype that I created that we'll go over in a minute. And then you need 4 different types of cardstock or scrapbooking paper. You don't need to use the same patterns that I have. You can use whatever you want. Just make sure that you have 4 different kinds of paper. So, to go over the prototype that I created ahead of time, I think this is a really good idea so that you can practice the card layout without wasting your pretty paper. So I just used some scrap cardstock that I had that had been ruined by some ink cleaner to create this. So let's go over this. First, this back piece of paper is going to be 5 by 7, and I cut it out using this right here. So I just measured out 5 by 7 and cut out this piece of cardstock. Next, this piece right here is all one piece that makes the trifold. This is going to be 11 by 6. So what I did to cut that is I took my piece of paper, which happens to be 11 inches long, and then I just measured 6 the long way and cut out 6 inches. Then for this piece of paper, which makes the gift card pocket, I just eyeballed that. So I held up my piece of paper, figured out how wide I wanted it and how tall, and then cut that out and glued it only on these edges right here so that it can still be a gift card pocket when we're done. So this is my prototype. Again, this is a good idea to do beforehand just so you can figure out the measurements and the layout without wasting your pretty paper. And with that, let's get started using our actual paper for the card. So the first step that we need to do is actually take a plain piece of white cardstock paper, because we are going to use this for the backing, and then we're going to glue this striped paper over the top of that. But you can see this paper is not cardstock, it's just scrapbooking paper, so it doesn't have a lot of hold to it. It's a little flimsy, so we want something a little sturdier on the back just to make this a more sturdy card. And we can take this piece of paper and cut it down to 5 by 7. We can set that aside. Next, we are going to take the pretty paper and cut this down to 5 by 7 as well. All right, now we're going to glue this piece of paper to the backing. Next, we are going to take the green cardstock and cut this to 6 by 11. So again, this longer side is already 11, so we only need to cut the 6. All right, the next step is to create the trifold. As you can see here, the inner part of the trifold is going to be a little bit shorter, so we're just going to measure out with a nice border around here, focusing on the size of this and folding that. It doesn't matter the size of this, we know that's going to be smaller, so we're going to focus on the trifold. For this, I am going to kind of eyeball it just because I want to make sure that I like the placement and the way the sizing looks on the striped paper. So we're just going to hold this paper up and just kind of get an idea of the size that we want the front to be. Next, we're going to take the short side and glue it to the backing. pay attention to the orientation of your card and how you want it to open up. And this is how we want it. We want just like that. So we'll center this on the backing card and glue. Next, I'm going to measure the size of this green piece of paper and cut the pencil paper down to the exact size. So you can just eyeball it by lining it up, maybe drawing a line on the back and tracing it, or you can use this to see exactly how long and wide it is. So this is 4 by 5 7/8. So that's what we're going to cut this paper to. Then you can glue this to the paper. Another option that you could do here is leaving a little extra room so that you can see the green border peeking through, but I think I'm just going to go all the way to the edge. Next, we are going to measure the gift card pocket on this page. Like I said before, I'm just going to eyeball this. So I know I want this line to kind of match up with the bottom. And I think if I cut right about there, that looks like a pretty good height for me. So I'm just going to look at where this line ends and cut along that. Now we're going to line up the bottom cut, and I think we'll go just below these backpacks. Now we need to figure out where we want to cut right here. I think I want them centered. So I'm going to trim off just a little bit on this side and then cut right here. Let's see. I think we need to trim a little bit off still. Yeah, just on this side. Well, maybe we'll do this side. All right, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to cut a hole right here just so that it's easy to recognize that this opens up so we can slide a gift card inside. All right, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to glue along just these 3 edges so that we can still tuck the gift card inside, and this edge is not glued to the paper. And I'm going to get as close to the edge as possible. All right, now we will line it up. Whoops. Gently pull that off, and now line this up at the bottom. And there we are. Now we are going to get into the stamping with our Bob Ross, this little banner, and our phrases. All right, next we are going to stamp our Bob Ross stamps, and I'm going to be using pigment ink because I'm actually going to be using some clear embossing powder and pigment ink and pigment ink just sticks a little bit better with the embossing powder. All right, so you can see how there's a little bit of shine now to his hair and just, yeah, all of the black on this impression. So I like the way that looks, which is why we're doing the clear embossing powder on our stamps today. So now we will just repeat the process with the remaining stamps. All right, now we are going to go in with some markers and color in Mr. Bob Ross. For his skin color, I am using the color Soft Sun by Ohuhu. And I'm going to be using the brush side. Next, I'm going to take Pink Flamingo and just add a little bit of blush on his cheeks. For his jeans and jacket, he did wear a lot of denim, so we're just going to do a good old Canadian tuxedo. I'm using blue-gray. For the mountain, I am using Vivid Blue. For the sky, I'm using Ultramarine. And here we have the final Mr. Bob. Now we are going to take all of our elements and start to assemble the card. The first thing that we're going to glue down is Happy Little Graduation. And then we're going to be using 3D adhesive dots to make Bob pop up a little bit. And we're just going to line them up in the center of the card. Now on the inside, we do have another phrase, congrats, I knew you could do it. And I think I'm going to stamp that right here on this piece of paper. So I'm going to line that up before I stamp just to make sure I like the placement of it. And then we'll stamp that down. All right, we have that stamped down. I did go ahead and heat emboss that as well with the clear powder, just because I thought that would look really nice. Now at this point you could be done with the card, or you could take some of the additional elements, this paint palette, splatters, the tree, squirrel, or gown or hat, and you could place those around the card You know, maybe the hat would be cute here, the squirrel here. Really, it's up to you. There are a ton of different things you could do with some of those additional elements, or you could leave it how it is and call it good. Another thing I want to point out is if you want to write a sentimental handwritten note, this back area right here would be a good spot to do that. So when people open it up, they see this sentiment, their gift card, but then upon further inspection, they could find the handwritten note if you wanted to do something a little more sentimental with this. So again, you could leave this as is. I think it's really cute like this, or you could take some of these additional stamps and place them throughout the card. Totally up to you. I think I might do something like that. I think that's pretty cute. All right, and here we have the final card. I think this is so adorable. It's such a fun card for graduation, maybe for someone who loves art or a Bob Ross, and also a great way to include a gift card in this little pouch. This is one of my favorite cards to date, I would say. I love it. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel to see more content like this. We will see you next time.